believe in ghosts. Well, there are some places where people do, and for good reason. If you travel up the Hudson River from noisy and crowded New York City, you will come to a cozy little valley hidden away among high hills where time seems to have stopped. The people who live here are the families of the first Dutch settlers. They like their old ways and see no reason to change or to leave their quiet farmland to travel to the big cities of the outside world. I've heard it said that long before the first white man came, an old Indian chief cast a magic spell on the land. Whether it is true or not, there certainly is an enchanted feeling that hangs over this region, and it's easy to believe that some very strange things can happen here. In fact, everything is so dreamlike in this little valley that it's known by the name of Sleepy Hollow. One day, a long time ago, a stranger came to Sleepy Hollow. He was so tall and so thin that you might have mistaken him for some scarecrow that had run away from its cornfield. His name was Ichabod Crane, and he had traveled all the way from Connecticut to be Sleepy Hollow's new schoolteacher. The schoolhouse was a little one-room building made of logs. Through its patched windows, you could hear the murmur of the students' voices reading out their lessons, and then, whack, the frightful sound of the birch rod as it met the bottom of some particularly naughty child. "It may hurt now," Ichabod Crane would tell the smarting urchin, "but you will remember this lesson and thank me for it for the rest of your days." You see, he wasn't a cruel man. He just believed in the old motto, "Spare the rod and spoil the child." Ichabod Crane's students were certainly not spoiled, nor were they abused. Indeed, it was wise of him to stay on good terms with his pupils, for he relied on the generosity of their parents for his living. When school hours were over, he would usually walk some of the smaller children home, especially those who had pretty sisters or good cooks for mothers. His visits always caused some commotion at a farmhouse. "Set out the best plates and use the silver teapot," the mothers would instruct their daughters. "Master Crane is a learned gentleman-like person, and I am sure he has vastly superior tastes. Be sure to make extra cakes and sweetmeats, for I never saw a man who could eat as much as the schoolmaster." Ichabod was particularly happy in the company of the country girls. The more bashful country bumpkins would hang back sheepishly, secretly envying Ichabod's education and the elegant manners he displayed to the ladies. On cold autumn evenings, Ichabod loved to visit with the old Dutch wives as they sat spinning by the fire, telling their tales of haunted houses and haunted fields and haunted brooks and haunted bridges, not to mention numerous ghosts and goblins. It was on one such evening that he first heard the story of the most famous spirit of them all. It was, they said, the ghost of a Hessian trooper who, during the Revolutionary War, had his head shot off by a cannonball. "They buried his body in the churchyard," said one old dame. "But they never found his head," added another. "His ghost rides out in the gloom of the night to the old battlefield where he searches for his lost head. And then
He thunders back along the roads as if on the wings of the wind until he reaches the church bridge, where he vanishes in a flash of fire and brimstone. He is known as the Headless Horseman of the Hollow.
"Heaven preserve us!" exclaimed Ichabod, who had a most fearful walk home that evening, imagining he saw the ghostly form of the Headless Horseman in every shadow that crossed his path. Be that as it may, the morning sun sent any ghost or goblin scampering back to its secret lair, and shone once again on the rich and friendly farmland of the Hollow. On this day, Ichabod found himself summoned to the largest and most prosperous of the Dutch homesteads. It was owned by one Baltus Van Tassel. "My greatest treasure," boasted old Van Tassel, "is not my full barn, nor my fields of rye, buckwheat, or Indian corn, nor my cattle, nor horses, nor pigs, nor fowls, nor even my house and all the goods therein. No, sir, my greatest treasure is my daughter and only child, Katrina." And there she was, Katrina Van Tassel, famed not only for her great beauty, but also for the fact that she stood to inherit all of the Van Tassel wealth. "Master Crane, father and I would have you give me lessons in the art of singing," Katrina informed the delighted Ichabod. He gazed around him in awestruck wonder. His mouth watered as his ever-hungry mind pictured all the bounty of the farm, cooked and ready for the dinner table. And then there was Katrina, rosy-cheeked as one of her father's peaches, the crowning jewel in this sumptuous setting. "My peace of mind is at an end," thought Ichabod. "I must somehow, by hook or by crook, win the hand of Katrina Van Tassel." Now, Ichabod Crane wasn't the only bachelor with his eye on Katrina. Oh, no. There was also Brom Bones. He was the local hero, famed for his great skill in horsemanship and feats of strength and daring. When any madcap prank took place, the neighbors always smiled, shook their heads, and said, "Brom Bones must be at the bottom of it." This hero had singled out Katrina as the object of his gallantries, and though he had courted her for some time, Brom had never actually asked her for her hand in marriage. It was whispered that Katrina would have gladly accepted Brom's offer. Well, that was a situation Ichabod had to contend with. Considering all things, a stronger man would have shrunk from the competition. A wiser man would have despaired. Ichabod made his advances in a quiet and subtle way. Using the excuse of giving singing lessons, he made frequent visits to the manor house. And so, while the busy Dame Van Tassel worked at her spinning wheel, and the honest Balt sat smoking his evening pipe, Ichabod would pay court to Katrina. "Devil take that schoolmaster," fumed Brom Bones. "Every time I visit the Van Tassels, Ichabod Crane is there singing with Katrina. I'll double that schoolmaster up and stick him on a shelf in his own schoolhouse." Ichabod was too conscious of the superior might of Bones to give him any such opportunity.